Hey, Pipe fans, welcome back to Carlo Prusa MMA. Today, we got a friend of the program. He is the Soul Snatcher. He is Mr. Dylan O'Sullivan, getting ready, making his return to the cage, taking on Roland Dunlop over Anthony Pettis FC 16, March 23rd, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, fighting for their vacant 185 title. Dylan, what's going on, my friend?
Oh, what's up, man? I'm just loving life. Just got done training and taking care of my aunt and uncle's poodles.
There you go, man. Doing a little bit of everything these days. Big exciting news happened a few weeks ago. Haven't seen you in a minute. Last time we saw you was Karate Combat. You're fighting for a title, fighting Roland Dunlop. Great promotion, Anthony Pettis FC, one of the best regional promotions on the planet right now. Overall, man, was it a no-brainer but to accept this one when it was thrown to you?
Oh man, it was definitely. I am thrilled for it, and I was very excited when I got the news for it because everything that I've seen for APFC, like production level, great, like super great. And then I reached out to one of my friends, Miranda Barber, who fought for them, and she told me that it was just like ran really well. They were really good people, and they ran a great show. So after that, I was like even more excited for the opportunity and just ready to get on that stage and show my skills.
You know, for a while, you've been out of the country. You were overtraining in Thailand. Looked like you were living the time of your life out there. What was that experience like?
Oh my gosh, I didn't want to come back. Thailand is beautiful. The weather, the people. It was some of the kindest people I'd ever met in my life, and people from all over the world. That was the cool thing too. Like I didn't meet many Americans. I was like around a lot. There was people from everywhere. I made new friends from so many different countries, and then on top of that, the training was high level, and to see how the Thai people train, and it's like a true lifestyle. It was just really cool to see that, and I didn't want to leave, and then I come back to America. American prices are, of course, our dollar is worth a lot more, and there's all that, but it was crazy. You go from getting done with training and being able to spend $2.50 to $5 to eat like good, freshly cooked food with no crazy additives, and it was awesome.
You know, I think it's kind of interesting is when you compare Thailand and the U.S. I think the people within it view mixed martial arts in a different way. Obviously, people in the U.S., we kind of view it as a sport. There's maybe a lot of jokes about it. I think it's two guys fighting. But when you go look over Thailand, mixed martial arts, respect, honor, the values, the morals. Did you really see that when you were over there?
Oh, 100%. Like the trainers, it's all about respect, but they're also like such happy people too. So it's like they could go from being like the most serious like person to laughing a second later, So it really kept the energy in the room great. And to see how some guys, they might be an Uber driver or they drive for what's called Grab, which is like Uber there. And they do that for 10 hours a day. And then on Saturday, they go fight Thai fights, and it's just part of that. Because when they go fight, they get paid, and they're all about work, like, but they're also all about having a good time. Like it was a cool culture to see, and I definitely am gonna go back.
Last time out we saw you in action. Karate Combat did something a little different. Contest didn't go your way, but overall, what were some of the takeaways from that experience?
Oh man, Karate Combat was great. I would love to fight for him again. I was hoping I could get another match for him. Since I took it on a week's notice, and so did my opponent. And I figured, actually, my opponent that I fought, he's fighting in Denver this weekend. I think it is. I think he's
Tonight?
Tonight, tonight. Actually, tonight. Yeah. He's fighting another guy, Weathersby. It'll be a good fight. I'm excited to see how that turns out because I was hoping I could even try and get a rematch with him. You know what I mean? Like, and I talked to him, and he was like, "Oh, I would totally do it," But I don't know how. I tried to get it to happen, but it didn't happen. And I just felt in that fight I didn't show up that night. And it's easy to just say that, but I really don't feel I showed up and did what I can do. There was a lot going on. I just went to Tokyo and was supposed to fight and then didn't get to fight. I flew all the way over there. They sent me straight back. Didn't get to do that. So that was like a roller coaster. And then I came back. I was training, but not how I should have been, and didn't know I was going to be getting a fight opportunity. I was looking for a fight, didn't get a fight opportunity, and I was actually signed with Iridium then. And then I got news that from Ed that there was a fight middleweight. Like, do you want to take this on a week's notice? Or it was 8 days notice. I said yes, but I was fighting a different guy. And then they said, oh, the guy, like they offered me to fight the guy. And then I guess he said no. So then they were like, oh, well, you're going to still fight. We're going to find your opponent. And then the next day they found me Connor Bracken. And then I fought him. And yeah, it just wasn't my night, happens. Fighting's a wild sport. And if you don't show up, it will be, you'll see it, And I felt that was a big part of why it was good for me to move back to Tennessee. Because
to springboard on that, obviously for a while in South Florida, training over at Kill Cliff, making the decision to return home, go back to Tennessee, and from what I'm understanding, you're also starting a gym out there.
Yes, sir. I'll be fighting out of my own gym. This is the first time. I'll be the first person to fight. We had 2 people do a jiu-jitsu competition. We're actually having our soft opening tomorrow. We still haven't had our grand opening because we still have some construction going on in it. But we have a pretty awesome facility, and I'm surrounded by my family. I'm surrounded by people that love me, and I feel very ready for this fight. I'm definitely ready to go in there and show the improvements I've made.
For how long now have you been thinking about maybe starting your own gym? This has been for a while.
It's always been a dream of mine. I always thought in my head like it would be when I was done fighting, but it just things came to fruition and it all came full circle and things happened out in a wonderful way and things it's great. I'm glad it's happening now because it's cool to. Also, we have guys that are going to be fighting. We have a guy fighting 2 weeks after me in his first amateur kickboxing fight. Then we're going to have fights in June. A bunch of guys making their amateur debuts and stuff. We got a bunch of good guys that are coming into the gym. So it's pretty cool to see it just going to fruition, and to be able to lead by example is a very good opportunity for me. So it's great feeling the love of all the people that I'm surrounded by at the gym right now.
How much joy do you get in being able to help these guys, watch them fight and, help them achieve their dreams and chase their good journeys?
Oh, it's the coolest thing in the world because just the amount of people that have helped me on my journey and the impact that others have had on me. If I can do that and reciprocate that to others, I feel like that's just what makes the world a better place. So, and martial arts is a lifestyle. It's something that makes people better as humans, I feel, and it gives you more confidence in yourself, and it will protect you, teach you more discipline. So getting to instill that into people that I know, like, because I think like it's wild. Time like really flies. Like I'm 30 now. I've been fighting. Like I was talking to someone today, and it's like I had my first fight 13 years ago. And it's crazy to think like, holy cow, like I don't think like because like the young guys they'll ask me questions and say stuff that it's like I'm like I haven't thought like that in so long. So it's cool to get to have the knowledge I have now and give them answers to their questions.
One thing I think is crazy is when you look at mixed martial arts, it's still such a relatively, let's say MMA in the North America, it's such a relatively new concept. I mean, really only been going around now for 25 to 30 years. 20, 25 years ago, people were calling this human cockfighting. Like this was not culturally accepted. This was not legal at many places. There were some people who were thinking this, you do this, you should go to prison. And from what I've heard back in the day, regional promotions starting out, man, that's the wild, wild west. I've heard a guy start fighting in bars, barns, outside, mystery opponents. I've heard some promotions not even do medicals, not even doing a legit weigh-in. When you first started, Did you see any of that in your
Oh,
original first fights?
for certain. I fought in a bar that, like, this room I'm sitting in right now, I swear the bar was smaller than this room. And the cage was 16 foot. If I held one side of the cage and my opponent held the other, we could probably touch hands in the middle. It was like I got out of the cage and the bar was right there. Someone like had like a beer. I had boxing gloves on because it was kickboxing, and I had a beer. Someone handed me a beer. There's like I didn't even have my gloves off, and it's just like, holy cow, yeah. That's the cool thing now too, is when you get an opportunity for an amateur to get to do something like that. I always say, like, let's go. Like, even if it's chaos, like, let's go, because that's the experience of fighting. Like, like you hear about those guys that fought in a field with cars parked around them, headlights on them, and it's like the winner was getting money, and it was totally not legal. But it's just like I always think, man, I would like to go do one of those, like sign me up. But obviously I can't do that now that I'm a professional fighter. But I always think those stories are cool.
Do you get more nervous when you're watching your guys, your students fight than when you actually fight?
Way more. I mean, if I lose, if I win, I have to deal with it. When obviously, like, only I have to. I feel like it's easy to worry about myself, but if someone else wins or loses, I feel like guiding them. It's such a pivotal moment. Like, and the stuff you have to. It's way different than when you just have to deal with it yourself. Like dealing with my own emotions, I've had to deal with them my whole life. But when you're trying to help somebody go through whatever it is, like even winning, like even when you have a student, I've had plenty of students like win belts and do all sorts of stuff, and it's still what you instill in them when they're winning. It's easy to not give someone the right information or just to not care. So I think I care a lot more, and you're not in control when you're in there like you're doing it yourself. It doesn't even, I don't know, it's a way freeing moment. But when someone you care is in the cage fighting, it's like even like people you like as a fan, like when you see them fight, like it's like, oh my gosh, like what's gonna happen? Like you get so much emotional like into it. But when it's yourself, it's a different kind of emotion. Like there's definitely a lot of emotion, but it's a total different kind, because it's like, especially now at this point, you feel like I've done a lot of fights. I know what's going to happen. I know what to expect in a sense. Obviously, when you get in there, you don't know what to expect. You got to be ready for whatever, but the lead up is always very similar. But that's one thing I always say about fighting is you never know what you're going to go through leading up to the fight. That's why fighting is so great, because it's the personal growth you can get from having to go through and focus on the goal that you have at hand, no matter what's going on around you.
Do you feel that fighting is more mental than it is physical?
A lot. Yes, I would say 100%. It's more mental than physical. I was actually talking to a student about that the other day. He was like, "Man, it might be more mental than physical." And I was like, "Oh, I'd say it's more mental than physical for sure. Especially when you get to the higher levels. It's all mental, because everybody's in shape, everybody's good. You're an athlete, a professional athlete. You're a specimen. Even if you just knock people out, you're still a specimen in a sense. So it's like then it comes down to mental."
So many people are watching this sport in this day and age, and you can really see how mixed martial arts has changed and evolved over the years. Obviously, we're doing these at arenas now, and there's athletic commissions, and it's regulated and all that stuff. But you're really starting to see entertainment and personality play a big role. Let's be real. They are fighters in this sport that put on facades. They're people that they're not, because they know it's going to get them a title shot. They know they're going to get money, and the promotion just eat it up and love it. How do you feel mixed martial arts has been impacted by entertainment and personality?
I think it's been impacted hugely. Like media is huge. Like even as we're sitting here right now talking on media, like media is a big part of it. And as you get to the higher stages and you get to these big things, you have to be ready for the media. And I think it changes people a lot. I don't, as far as, I was around some of the best fighters in the world at Kill Cliff. Like plenty of the best fighters in the world. I might be biased when I say that all of them are the best fighters in the world, so, and they're all real people, but I've heard stories of this and that, but that's why I don't buy into that too much, because I don't know the person personally. So I don't try to look into that, but you definitely can tell when someone's just playing games and trying to do mental warfare, this, that, or the other, or they put on a facade. I mean, Connor did it so well, but I think it was partially him. It's like crazy. I think it was in him, but then it got to a point where it just got blown out of proportion, and he got more money the more he did it. And now look at him. It's like I don't know, but it's like, oh, okay, how can you even hate on the guy? He's richer than rich. Like, okay, he doesn't give a damn, He doesn't give a fuck.
There you go. I think a byproduct of this whole entertainment personality thing is the casual fans. Now we have a term for them. So these are the people, they're usually drunk. They like to watch the fights at B-dubs. They're in the cheap seats. They like to yell, twist them in the you-know-what. You're a crotch shopper, a crotch sniffer, all this crazy stuff. Overall, what's the Dylan O'Sullivan take on the casuals? We like them? Does it drive you crazy? Is just something we have to accept?
I mean, to me, I just laugh. I'm just a laugh. I'm a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. I just laugh, I like to go to B-dubs. I listen to those guys, just because in my head I'm like, God, it's funny, I know, because I've been in enough gyms across the world too, that it's like when you step on a mat, people's attitudes change a whole lot different, and if they don't and they're delusional, then they find out very shortly how delusional they are. And it's usually the ones that are very delusional that can't do nothing, so it's like I just don't even I just laugh at them. It's more fun. It's fun to hear what they have to say. And in East Tennessee, it's wild at some of the fights I've had. The twist his dick, you hear that a lot for sure. Something crazy like that. It's ridiculous, to be honest, but it's always funny when you hear it.
So we're getting ready, fighting Roland Dunlop, making our debut to Anthony Pettis FC, get thrown in right away to a title fight here. Overall, what do you think of your opponent? What do you think of Roland Dunlop?
I think he's a well-rounded martial artist. I think he's a very game opponent, and I'm excited to go in there and show my skills against somebody like him,
How do you like this matchup from a stylistic standpoint?
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot because I believe he wants to stand and strike. He has his grappling background, and he's probably not scared to grapple if he needs to, but he wants to stand and he wants to strike. I've watched his fights, and he'll stand for 3 rounds and strike. So I'm ready to stand there and strike with the guy.
For you have some of the craziest power that anyone will ever see on the regional scene, in mixed martial arts in general. Has that always come natural for you? Like, even when you first started doing this stuff, was the power always there?
I believe so. I believe it was my brother really helping me with the mechanics of learning how to punch, learning how to distribute my weight, because he made me do a lot of drills, lots of reps, lots of very old school style boxing. Like, you're in the mirror doing this for 3 months, before you even get to hit a bag. And he would make me do things like that. So I feel it's just from repetitive motions of punching. And if you find your power, I do think there has to be some genetic to it, but I think it's a lot of the reps.
At this point in your career, what would it mean for you to win a title like this?
It'd mean a lot. I'm ready to get to the next stage. I want to keep continuing to fight to become a world champion. So this will make me a world champion. And well, they call it a world championship, obviously, and I'm not down on it because it's a great opportunity, but I want one of the renowned, like UFC, PFL, Bellator, if it's still around, one championship. But Anthony Pettis Fight Championship is huge. They've took the regional scene by, I think they're like climbed to the top, so I'm very honored for it. And I do believe they consider it a world championship, but the eye on the prize is the top one. So I have to get this to get there, and it's going to be great to fight for Anthony Pettis fight championships and earn my way to one of those bigger promotions through them. I feel like it's a great platform for me to be able to really hit the scene and really be shown who I am.
I think a huge misconception in today's society with mixed martial arts is, from the casual fans, they look at the McGregors, they look at the Anthony Pettis, the Jorge Masvidals, and they're like, wow, it must be amazing to be a fighter. Like, this is the greatest lifestyle yet. Little do they know, fighting on the regional scene, you're losing money. A lot of guys have that 9-to-5 job. Some have kids. Some have a wife. You have to wake up early. You have to pay to train. You have to deal with a bunch of killers who want it just as bad as you. You have to do this every single day. Miss birthdays, weddings, Thanksgivings, holidays, all this stuff just to chase the dream. You've done this for a very long time and you have not given up. Why? Why are we sticking through this?
Because I've made a promise to myself that I would get to where I think I can get. And I'm not going to give up. There's no giving up, ever. I'm going to continue to fight until I become a world champion.
You think of a win here. Does that open the doors to maybe a potential Contender Series, Ultimate Fighter opportunity, something in the near future?
I believe so. I believe when I go do what I need to do, there will be good opportunities ahead very soon.
So one thing I noticed from you from watching your Instagram stories and stuff, do you write like notes and stuff on your wall of like goals?
Oh, yeah. I have a vision board. I have one quote like for the week, and I put it on there, and then I have little different notes that I write to myself, and I read that, when I wake up, it's the first thing I look at. When I go to bed, it's the last thing I look at. So I try to put positive thoughts into my head and visualize what I have ahead. I think mind, like we talked about, mind is very vital and important, and that's for life. That's the beauty of fighting, is all of the lessons you learn from fighting, they go directly towards life and everything that happens as a human being. So that's why I truly love fighting. I feel like it just helps me rise to the best version of myself.
For you personally, what does it mean to you to call yourself a martial artist?
To call myself a mixed martial artist?
Yes.
I think it makes me a very smart man. Because a true mixed martial artist knows how to be extremely violent, but they choose to control it, so it gives them a special power. You can't be peaceful until you learn how to be violent, and I think it gives you a very good power towards life, because especially just the world is crazy. You never know what happens out there in the world. So being a mixed martial artist only helps you as a human, in my mind.
One thing I was interested in talking about guys who own gyms. I've heard horror stories of guys who own gyms. They do sparring. They let people come in, and you get the occasional dingbat who wants to come in and be way too aggressive with the guys, wants to try to prove a point, try to do like street fighting stuff in the gym.
Yeah.
Have you come across that? And if you do, what's the Dylan O'Sullivan way of handling it?
Oh, for sure, you come across that. For sure. Oh, my goodness. And so my brother owned a gym first. That's where I first started. And we were downtown Johnson City. So, there was homeless people coming there. Every homeless guy would come in there and tell us they were Golden Gloves champion. They would have these stories, and street fighters walking by ready to. I remember my brother, these guys were talking. They were like, I want to know how to get up in this bitch or something. And my brother's like, this is my gym. You're not getting up in this bitch. Like, this is my gym. Don't talk about it like that or something. And he's like, said something about scrapping. So I don't know all the dialogue of what happened, but I remember I'm like, yo, you got to sign a waiver. Like I'm trying to like make sure he signed a waiver, and nothing ended up happening, but it was funny. My way of handling it would be put the gloves on. I got a cage. I got a mat. Like, let's handle it. I think, and if someone comes into my gym and whoops my ass, then I'm sure that they're probably a respectable person, and it would be I don't know. We could cross that path if we ever had to, but I'm not worried about these guys coming up in my gym. But I am very diligent on making sure that we have a healthy environment here at my gym. Because it's cool, because being at Killcliff, I learned so much. That was with the elite of the elite, and they keep that, they keep it, the energy right in there, so I learned a lot from being there. And being at my gym, it's going to be a very healthy place for everyone. I want people to have it as a place to leave their problems. We don't create problems at the gym, we solve them, so that's my mentality towards it.
What's the number one thing you want to instill in your students?
Discipline. Because discipline gets you through it all. If you're not disciplined, and there's so many, especially nowadays, all the distractions in this life, like, oh my goodness, if you're not disciplined, you'll sit around and not get what you need to get done.
Absolutely. All right, Dylan, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome on March 23rd when you make your debut to Anthony Pettis Fighting Championship, when you take on Roland Dunlop for their vacant 185 title?
First round knockout. Simple as that. That would be picture perfect. Continue my streak. I have 5 first-round finishes. Let's get the 6th and that belt.
There you go. Well, Dylan, man, always a pleasure talking to you. So happy that you got this opportunity, and can't wait to watch you find the cage here soon, man.
Great talking to you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for us tonight. I am Carl Peruzzo. That's the Soul Snatcher. He is Mr. Dylan O'Sullivan. You watch him. Anthony Pettis Fighting Championship 16, fighting Roland Dunlop for their vacant title. Stick around, play fans.
Let's go.